This is the Dull Man's Podcast, the podcast for dull men
and women
who get excited about dull things.
Welcome to another edition of the Dull Man's Podcast. We've reached episode 29. Isn't that exciting? My name is Dave Harries, and joining me at this beautiful dining room table
You've learnt
that Faye constructed herself after a series of evening classes.
I wish.
impressive.
Is Faye Hatcher herself.
Hiya, Dave. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Faye. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much. Can we just give a shout out to Flea the dog as well, who's
bless
like
Flea.
Yeah.
second episode recording in, and I just haven't heard from her at all.
She's amazing, isn't she? She finds the subject so dull, it just puts her straight to
I'm going
sleep.
to take a photograph of her. Maybe we can include her in this episode.
Let's post her on Facebook.
Asleep.
And also joining us is Demitris Deech, who is the top 800 comedian in the whole wide universe.
Yeah, that's me, Demitris Deech, playing the part of uneducated, working class, dull podcaster.
Yeah, which is ironic because he actually went to a really posh public school. He comes from
I
a
did
very
not.
rich family. He's the poshest person I know, but you know.
That's right. I went to a single sex public school, and I realised it was an all girls school.
Coming up in today's episode, we've got a very exciting episode for you. I'm going to be talking about budget airlines because it's the summer and a lot of us use budget airlines in the summer. It's more interesting than you might imagine.
No, I just mean like the experience. You know,
the
a lot
experience.
of people are going to be going,
Well, we're going to be
budget
talking
airlines.
about that. Yeah. Faye, what are you talking to us about?
I'm talking about sports trails and how they're constructed. You'll love this one from a sound engineer point of view, Dave.
Okay.
This is going to really get you
And sports trails, for those not familiar with broadcasting lingo,
Yeah, that I've got all that in
you're
mind.
going to explain it to us. Great, okay. Deech, what are you talking about?
The Nee Naw sounds that police cars make
Highbrow.
when they're chasing you.
sounds.
Well, not chasing you, but just when they're in a rush.
Is that what the police call it? You say, I think we better turn the Nee Naw sound on.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I did ask my friend, who shall remain anonymous Bobby on the beat, as I would call him, and he says people call it different things in his line of work, but he says he calls it Nee Naw. He
great.
actually calls it the
my
Nee Naw
gosh.
sound.
And these type of people are policing our streets.
Yeah, but he said, but others say bring the noise if they want to sound more urban about it. They go,
right.
let's bring the noise.
Oh, I like that. Bring the noise.
What about just like
That's what
the
people
sirens
say.
on?
That's what people say when they
Or the
turn on the
woos.
Dull Man's podcast.
Bring the noise.
Yeah, bring the noise. Yeah. Anyway, that's all coming up in this episode of the Dull Man's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for feedback. Yay!
Yes!
My favourite part of the show,
It is,
where I get to
isn't
sing
it?
my jingle. Oh, no, Faye's shaking her head.
we know so many creative musical people. Let's just commission something.
Can I just say, I'm one of those creative
Yeah, and I'm
people.
including
so
you
what's
in
wrong
that.
with my
Okay.
jingle?
I
mean,
Let's
no.
do your jingle then.
It's feedback time, it's feedback time, it's feedback time. No.
I'm going to go to AI to get it done.
All right, well, anyway, this week on feedback, we have heard from Sean in Anglesey.
Oh, who's Sean?
Sean has been in the dairy industry for a number of years. Many years, in fact. I think she has a lot of experience in the dairy industry. So she was very interested in our piece a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
a couple of episodes ago, I should say, on the dairy industry. I should say it's my piece on the dairy industry, because obviously, my piece generates by far the most feedback.
It wasn't terrible.
Well, that's very good of you to say so, Deech. Anyway, let's hear from Sean, and then we can talk about what she says.
Hello again, Dulsters. I loved Dave's section on the dairy industry in the last episode, especially because I've worked in it for the past 10 years. On the subject of the UK's pasture-fed herds, we actually also have some wonderful robotic grazing herds, and I don't mean milking robots themselves, but using them for milking the cows. This is where the cow is ultimately in full control. She will head to the robots when she is ready to milk those inside the barn. And during the summertime, she'll then take herself outside via a sort of a robotic gating system that sends her to which field she's meant to go to. After a certain amount of time in one field, or when the field is running out of grass, a timer switches over and all of the cows that are in that field can come back and head into the next fresh field, or they'll head back in if they're ready for milking, and it will automatically send them to where they need to go. During the winter time, they quite often have extra robots in the barn, so when they can't go out to graze, when the ground is too wet, there's often robots that are used for things like scraping up slurry in the barn and pushing up feed. Cows and robots get on particularly well.
Well, there we are.
Wow.
Cows and robots. Did you know any of that?
No, that's fascinating.
Neither did I kind of wonder whether there's any need for human beings at all.
I was just thinking that, and I
farms.
wonder how many people have lost their jobs because of robots, or whether they've been sort of redeployed on another area of the farm.
Of course, and that's
The
true.
traditional milking maid is no more.
Yeah, I think I think that's true of lots of industries, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not just dairy. But I was fascinated by what she said about how the cow is in control. The cow decides
Yeah.
when it wants to be milked.
Yeah.
Because obviously, traditionally, it's twice a day. Bring them in early in the morning, bring them in the evening, milk them, and all that. But I suppose if the cow can say, "Oh, I fancy being milked now," wander up to the robot, get milked, wander
Well, I
back out to
imagine
the
it
field.
would, like humans, you have to have that release because it becomes uncomfortable
Yes.
otherwise. So that would be
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But I'd be interested to know whether they get a better yield because the cow is deciding,
right.
as opposed to you know,
Yeah.
humans
Wow.
deciding.
There's
And
a-
what do these robots look like? Are they little men
Yeah,
and
that's
women
what
walking
I want.
around?
R2D2.
Yeah, like a sort
Yeah.
of like C3PO, like a gold
Yeah.
sort of human
Yeah, I'm
figure.
sure they look exactly like that.
Just
yeah.
they sort of like actually kind of milk.
Did
like
you
that.
see the robots this week playing football together?
Oh, yeah, and they fell down.
Yeah, they weren't very
They
good,
were
were
no-
they?
I was
But would they be like that,
they,
you know,
no, they
shoveling
were
all the
programmed to
shit?
dive in the penalty area.
It was like when my parents said that they were getting an automated lawnmower. I kind of thought of this sort of robot, like
It's like a little-
Marvin from
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like pushing a lawnmower along and moaning. But it wasn't. It was just a thing which went up and down.
Brain the size of a
Well,
planet, and
if
I'm
it was
mowing a
something
lawn.
like Marvin or something, a robot like that, I'd be like, yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah, I can imagine Marvin milking cows, brain the size of a planet, and I got me milking cows. No, it's brilliant. I think the it'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to see some pictures of these robots, the ones that are clearing up the slurry or
Yeah.
doing the milking or.
I wonder if there's any other purposes for a milking robot.
Oh, Deech, that is absolutely revolting.
What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? He's got.
You have no idea what I was thinking. Your minds went somewhere, which
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Anyway, thank you very much, Sean from Anglesey, for that contribution and teaching us a little bit more about dairy farming.
Don't forget, we will be voting for our favourite fact at the end of this episode. Dave, you want to talk about budget airlines?
I do, Faye, because it's the summer. And people use budget airlines all year long and not just in summer, but I suppose more of us use them in the summer to go off for our holes and stuff like that. Cheap way of getting to Spain or Greece or wherever it is you want to go on your holes. And I was just quite interested in the whole concept of budget airlines because I don't remember them being around when I was a kid. You had to use British Airways or British Caledonian or whatever the national.
But it was quite the
carrier.
opposite, wasn't it? Travelling around, it was never budget. It was
expensive.
luxurious. It was
Yes,
expensive,
yeah.
and you wouldn't want to brand it as being budget.
No, airline. It was expensive and prestigious to fly anywhere. So anyway, I had a little look into this, and the first thing I want to do, because I know that Deech loves to guess a stat or two, and I wonder, so I've managed to find the rankings for the worldwide for budget airlines,
Right.
biggest to the top 10 budget airlines. So I wonder if you can guess who is the biggest budget airline according to these figures, which
Who's the biggest budget?
by
airline?
number of passengers, I think
EasyJet.
we're talking about. No, it's not
Ryanair?
EasyJet. It is Ryanair. Yes.
Well done.
Ireland's Ryanair.
Sorry, mate. I could see you were struggling.
That's all right. I wasn't
'Cause you
given a
only-
chance. I wasn't given a chance
You
to.
only travel by.
But guess who's
first
number
class.
2, Deech?
Sorry,
Guess who's number 2?
in the UK, is it a
No,
UK one?
worldwide.
I'm going to say Blue Air.
No, it's EasyJet.
Ah, there we go.
I thought you'd get that one because it was the obvious one. But anyway, so yeah, Ryanair, EasyJet, Ireland and UK, respectively, are the top 2, according to these figures anyway, which I got off the internet. Malaysia Air are the 3rd. Indonesia Lion Air are the number 4. Brazil comes in at number 5 with Transportes Aéreos. That's probably terrible Portuguese pronunciation there. Number 6 is Norwegian Air Shuttle. Number 7, Spain Vueling. 8, Turkey Pegasus Airlines. I'm nearly finished this list. 9 is Hungary Wizz.
Yeah, I've been on them.
Who'd have thought? Have you
Hungry
really?
Whiz.
Oh, right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of them.
Well, they're called Whiz. It's not called Hungry Whiz.
Oh, well,
They're just Whiz.
Yeah, sorry.
It's just Whiz Airlines.
No. I'm saying the name of the country first.
Right.
to help
I
you.
see.
And then number 10 is Australia and Jetstar 6, I think.
Okay.
Dave, you were talking about, when you were a lad, you couldn't remember any budget airlines.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, how would that go down sort of, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago? Somebody just announced there's going to be a budget airline.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be any snobbery around that? Sort of people thinking a budget airline, does that mean everything to do with the aircraft and the staff is going to be a little bit...
Well, I don't think, you're probably of your marketing gurus and your
But it's amazing,
they
isn't
wouldn't
it?
call it budget
Yes,
airlines. They'd
yeah.
call it low cost or
Yeah.
affordable or something like that. They wouldn't say budget.
But isn't it amazing how attitudes...
Yeah, perceptions change. don't
Yeah.
they? And of course, this did happen in the 70s because I think it was the 70s. A guy whose name escapes me, a millionaire, he tried to start a transatlantic airline, a budget airline.
You don't mean Richard Branson?
No, before
Before
Branson,
yeah.
before Virgin, and he and there was a great fanfare when he launched this, and it was supposed to compete with British Airways and Lufthansa and all these other state-owned airlines, and it was supposed to be a much cheaper way across the Atlantic, but it failed. Sadly, it didn't last very long, so that you could argue that was an early attempt. But interesting, in the history of budget airlines, of course, the United States were the pioneers with this, as with so much. There was an airline called Southwest Airlines, I believe it still exists, and that was formed in the 1970s, and it pioneered the low-cost, no-frills model. And I don't know if you remember this from your time in the States, Deech, but I certainly used Southwest Airlines when I lived in the States, and it was a bit like getting a bus. You just turn up at the airport, you buy a ticket, get on.
Yeah.
Go. And it was so everybody, obviously it's a big country, so a lot of people fly, and so when Southwest Airlines came up with this budget idea, it suddenly made it much more affordable, to go to your relatives for Thanksgiving or whatever, and that's where it sort of was, the model was proven, if I can put it that way. Is that the right way of saying it? So so typically they would focus on point-to-point routes. So they'd have a route, say, right, okay, our route is from San Francisco to Phoenix, for example, and the plane would just go back and forward on that route. Single aircraft types, because that reduces maintenance costs massively if you've only got one type of aircraft.
Okay, so that's how they save money then.
It is a way of saving. I mean, and you look at EasyJet today and Ryanair. EasyJet only have one type of aircraft. I mean, obviously the iterations change as they get newer
So the
models.
737.
No, EasyJet use Airbus.
Right. Because I always wondered how they save them. Because the only thing I can think that they can save money is not giving you food. I can't. When they say, "Oh, we cut the,"
Well,
cost.
they don't give you food.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a way they save money. So,
But it's hardly a lot of money.
No,
Yeah.
you're right.
So
But
this
you're
is-
right. So the single aircraft types, that gives them a much more efficient operation. And of course, they just try and run the airline less bureaucratically.
How does everybody feel about paying extra to be fast-tracked?
'Cause
And
that's-
also getting all of your holiday clothes into a tiny little bag the size of an A4
Yeah.
folder. How does everybody feel
I
about that?
I like the fact that you got the choice to save money.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've had some really cheap holidays because of that. So
And I'm just thinking about your wardrobe, though. It's like you've got your mankini, a pair
Well, I
of
wear it
slacks,
all. I'll
pair
wear
of
it all.
slacks. You wear it all
Yeah,
through
yeah,
the
yeah.
airport.
Trust
Or,
me.
no, you go.
Like
You
this.
fly to a nudist resort and then you don't need clothes at all.
Have you ever been the victim of an airline overselling on seats?
Yes.
And that is awful.
What
isn't
happened?
It?
Were you not allowed on the plane?
Yeah, in America it happened to us. It happens a lot in America apparently. But we were traveling back from somewhere. My wife and I we were traveling back from San Francisco to Chicago or something like that, where we lived, and they had oversold it, which they frequently do. and they said, right, we want volunteers to give up their seats, and basically you get a big compensation. So we got
you took
offered.
it?
I can't remember whether we took it, but we got offered free flights to any destination in the States within the next 4 months if we were prepared to give up our seats. So so some people actually look forward to that because they think, right, that's my holiday sorted, because you still get the original flight. You just have to get a later
Next
flight.
day,
And if it is the next day, they'll put you in a hotel as well.
Yeah.
So that's
Is
very
that just
common.
a budget airline thing, or can
In
that
theory,
happen?
I think in theory it can happen to anything. Because that happened to my auntie in Cyprus. They had the same thing, and she was kind of forced into it, which is really bad.
Yeah.
And that's coming back from abroad. It's ridiculous.
It's happened to us, and it's just really horrible.
Well,
it creates panic.
And if you're on a deadline, you've got to get kids back for school or work or whatever.
Back to work,
exactly.
Yeah.
Then it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
All right, so there you are. Now you know everything you thought you didn't need to know about budget airlines, but it certainly changed the way we look at travel. And don't forget, as Faye reminded us, we are going to be voting on our favourite fact of the episode at the end of this. And I'm really hoping that for once Deech isn't going to win. But Faye, we're moving on to...
Hope away, Dave. Hope away.
Yeah, I know.
He's had the edge, hasn't he, for the last few episodes?
He always votes for himself. You're going to talk about sports trails, Faye, today.
Yeah, and I think you're really going to appreciate this, Dave, from your sound engineering background.
Good. But first of all, tell us what sports trails are, because there are going to be people listening who think, what the hell is a sports trail?
So you hear them on radio, occasionally on TV as well. But I'm specifically talking about radio sports trails, and they refer to promotional announcements that preview upcoming programming. These can be short audio clips highlighting sports events, news, or other shows.
Yeah, that's a very dull definition.
Is it? So can I say? Is it when you say trail? Is the full name trailer? Because I always thought they were called trailers. Was that?
I think the full name is trailer.
Yeah, trailer. Yeah.
Which is also it's an odd expression, isn't it? Because trails kind of makes you think like a path that you go on. And trailer is something that you tow behind a car or a truck. So it's both those expressions are odd, but they are the accepted terms, aren't they?
One of my first, I'm coming from a radio background. One of my first jobs was making trailers for a radio station, and this would be for all programs. Though I would tend not to make the sports trails because that would be coming from the sports department. So
they wouldn't let women make sports trails.
Oh, Dave, I'm so glad you said that, not me.
sorry, the men do the sports trails. Women don't understand.
I've never thought about it like that before. So for me, okay, I'm just going to set the scene. I'm driving in my car. I'm listening to a radio station. I'm listening to a great piece of music, and I'm just lost, in driving and listening. And then what cuts in is this noisy, loud, full-on sports trail.
Okay.
You must know what I'm talking about. You must have heard it on the radio before.
Yeah, they can irritate the hell out of you.
And I'm not talking about a specific radio station. This is across the board. And they're very formulaic. So it starts with a voiceover saying, coming up this weekend, Aston Villa, blah, blah, blah. And then some actuality. So a little bit of sports commentary.
Okay, yeah.
And those levels.
Oh, yeah.
Dave's getting very excited now because I'm talking about levels and over modding and things like that.
Yeah, and you hear the commentators saying, go!
Exactly, and the crowd's going wild. And that's brilliant because that is, it's giving you a flavour of the sports trail. But I've just set the scene. I've just come from this lovely piece of music.
Yeah, you've just listened to Lionel Richie dancing on the ceiling.
Exactly, that's a bit sort of high tempo for me. And we've gone straight into this. It's an audio explosion. It's overstimulating. It's too much for the senses.
True.
And then we've got some high energy, grunge music in the background and the commentary, and then a baccano, and then it's back into normal programming.
Yeah.
It's too much. Am I sounding like a grumpy, old, boring
Well,
git?
yes, you are, but you're
Brilliant.
right. You're right.
So what can we do? Why does it have to sound like that? Why does it have to be like? Is
And
it somebody
can I-
trying to overcompensate for the fact that
And can I
sport
add
on the
something?
radio is actually quite boring?
Can I add something to that as well, Faye? Because I completely agree with you. Sometimes those sports trails can be very, very irritating.
Sometimes.
But worse is when they do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So if you listen to the radio station for any length of time, you hear that same trail,
Yeah.
6-7 times, announcing the Euros or whatever it is, and it just, even if the first time you thought, oh, that's quite good, I must remember to watch that or something. By the 6th time, you're just thinking, oh, please turn it off, make it
sick of
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You
doesn't
just-
that have the opposite effect? You just want to switch off
Yeah.
the radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what can we do to come up with an alternative
I
sports trail
suppose
that is not offensive
Well,
to
they ought
people?
to, they ought to just go against the grain and create some lovely pastoral sort of, bit of nice Baroque chamber music, and coming up this weekend, Aston Villa will be playing Arsenal.
Can you imagine that?
Coming up
And they
this
may even
weekend
score a goal or two.
is Tyson Fury Morley.
Because they would get people talking,
Can
wouldn't
you
they?
imagine that? Talk sport. They've gone mad. What's happened?
I hate it when it's not quite the same thing, but I hate the fact that Radio 5 always say, the voice of the UK. I said, sorry, what is that claim based on?
That is quite an
You're not
arrogant
the voice of
claim.
the
It's
UK.
a boast, isn't
That
it?
that
But
is
it's-
quite
but
a
it's
boast
complete
when it is clearly the
bollocks.
Dull Man's
It's,
podcast.
Radio 5 is Dullman's podcast written large, isn't it? But it's to say you're the voice of the UK. I mean, fine, you're a radio station and quite a few people listen to you, but you're not the voice of the UK. I mean, there's
No.
loads of people that never listen to Radio 5.
No.
Hate sport.
Yeah.
So let's not pretend that you somehow
Big international
represent.
negotiation. You're not sending over
Yeah, I mean, don't get me
Adrian
wrong.
Childs.
I listen to
are
Radio
you,
5
to-
sometimes, but I just object to that. And I know
Yeah,
that's
it's-
not a sports trail, but it's the same attitude.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Shoving it down your ears.
Yeah, it's articles online now saying everybody's talking about this. And
clickbait,
and
isn't
it's-
it?
And they're not.
And they're not,
They're
no.
not. It's just one journalist saying,
you're right, it is
I'm quite interested in this.
formulaic. So if it's like the Grand National, you will hear the
Yeah.
of the horse. That's the
Yes.
first thing. Sort of some generic sound of
A horse being
of a
shot.
horse.
Oh, God.
Oops.
That would get people talking.
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
it?
What's your view, both of you? What are your views on music beds? And by which I mean, for those that don't know that term, that's where music is playing along under the speech.
Oh, I thought that was the music that you play when you're lovemaking in your bed.
Well, it could be that as well. But music playing along under the news, because there
Hate
are
it.
certain stations that do that,
Hate it.
and it
On the
winds
radio,
me
on the
up.
Because
main
the
on the
news-
main news.
Yeah.
Because the news isn't interesting enough, we're going to have to
Yeah.
add a bed to make it more
Because you,
exciting.
our listeners, are so stupid that unless we play music under it, you won't carry on listening.
I
It's
need
so
this to Get
patronising.
him going. It's
But bloody Radio
brilliant.
6 do this, for Christ's sake.
yeah,
And Radio
yeah.
6 is a more intellectual music channel, arguably. They play different types of music. It's not just the charts and all that thing. But they insist on the music under the news. It
Yeah.
drives me bonkers.
We don't need it.
No.
Unless you're going to sing the news.
Well, that
then
would be a
don't-
whole different
Yeah,
thing.
that should be the sort of
Wasn't there a television channel that had a bunny reading the news?
yeah.
The news
First
bunny.
ever cable channel. It also had topless darts.
Yes, I knew I
Yes,
liked
it did.
it.
It had a TV program which was topless darts before the news.
What channel was that?
It was the first ever cable channel before Virgin
So
effectively
it's
bought
kind of
out.
gone the way of all things, is it now?
Yeah. And it was something like Channel 18 or
I
something.
just
like
remember
that.
the news bunny. It sticks in my head for some reason.
Yeah, back in the late 90s, and you had a dwarf on a trampoline doing the weather. So there was a huge map
that's-
of the
that's-
United Kingdom behind.
That's really
the dwarf.
logical.
Yeah.
And that felt okay back in when
Ni-
was that? In the 90s watching that?
1998.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I really like Dave's alternative sports trail.
Yeah,
and I'm going to really pitch that
Yeah,
to,
Baroque music. Yeah,
to 5 Live.
yeah. Let's see if they pick it up.
Yeah. It's a winner.
Deech, it's time for you to make some noise, as they say.
Okay.
But very specifically, you're talking about Nee Naws.
Yeah, police sirens.
Police sirens.
Nee Naw, nee. Now, may I ask you, Dave, I'll come to you first. Do your best police siren or ambulance siren or fire engine siren impression.
Oh, all right. This is tricky because they differ, don't they? But
Well,
there's one I've sort of been hearing a bit around town.
Oh, have you?
It's a sort of, it kind of has two bits to it. It sort of goes, whoa, 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 and then it slows down and goes, whoa.
Okay.
Sorry, my voice isn't high enough to do it justice, but it's that sort of thing. So it's not a Nee Naw at all. It's a sort of sweeping...
Just a police siren sound. Do you know what emergency vehicle that is?
No.
No.
I didn't see the vehicle. I think it was an ambulance.
Okay, Faye, sure. What's your best siren?
I feel like I needed to practice this, really.
You've had,
Woo, 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 woo. Dog's woken up, sorry.
Yeah, that's a car alarm, I think.
There's one that went past the other day doing that, and it was an undercover police van. It was a grey one.
Yes.
Different to like a marked police car or van.
Black Mariah.
So the one you just did, Faye, is called the Yelp.
Oh.
So
they have names.
Yeah, they do. It's the Yelp.
What was the one I did? Double Yelp?
Do it again.
Oh, no, don't make me
Do it again.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay.
Ooh, I can't. My voice is weird today. I can't make it go high.
So that sounds as if it might have been a wall siren, which is like the different ones you get.
That was a police car, by the way. That ding you just heard.
You've got the
old-fashioned.
You have got the classic Nee Naw, which is Nee Naw, Nee Naw, Nee Naw, which some use. But there's a slower one, sometimes called a howler or a wall siren, sometimes called a whale siren, which is like the one which is like a klaxon.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh. So
we're driving the dog mad here.
The dog keeps looking at me going, what the...
So Faye,
do you remember
the
beginning of The Bill? Do you remember The Bill? That was that sort of police soap opera. Did they? Yeah. Didn't they have a siren involved in that?
Oh, that's Casualty.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Casualty starts with a siren.
Can you demonstrate that?
Well, I can't do the opening credits of Casualty, Dave, no.
Well, I thought you'd have done your research and rehearsed it.
Just going back to, we were talking about trails earlier.
Yes.
My job as a trail maker, we were never allowed to use sirens in trails because if you were a motorist listening to the car radio and you heard a siren, you might think it's a real siren. Yeah. So that was an absolute no-no.
That happened to me.
How many times has that happened to you in a song that you've listened to on the radio and there's some kind of sound in there which sounds a little bit like a siren?
Absolutely.
And then you turn your radio down.
Yeah. And it goes away. And the same with radio dramas as well. Because they inevitably, radio dramas use those sounds. Yeah. And you do sort of double take, if you're driving.
We weren't allowed to do it in trails,
The word siren comes from?
Oh, Greek.
Yeah, so sirens were Greek sort of goddesses.
They would call the sailors in, wouldn't
who
they?
lured the sailors in from their ships and then would kill them. So you're like this little tidbit, Dave, as a sound engineer. Sirens typically operate between 1 kilohertz and 3 kilohertz, as this is where our ears are most sensitive. So 1 kilohertz, for any musicians out there, is an A on the second octave up on the piano.
Yes, well, A is 440 hertz. Because the A, I only know this because I play in orchestras. So A, an octave above, would be 880. So 1 kilohertz would be slightly more than an A.
Yeah.
Be a B or a C. That's very dull, isn't it?
Now, and I was saying earlier that I spoke with my policeman friend earlier. I've also spoken with my fireman friend, and they don't refer to it as Nee Naws. They say as being on the bell. Because originally fire engines used to have a bell up until about the 1960s. A brass bell in the UK, and I think in America it's a silver bell, as it happens.
But it would be run manually by by one of the crew.
Yeah, so it would be on either side of the of the truck, basically. And I think that was probably the same for a lot of early police cars as well. And then they used like a loud hailers, horns, basically, where they would have two. So hence you got the Nee Naw sound. So you had two at different pitches, different range. So it would go Nee Naw, Nee Naw. And the reason they have that is so you can hear it from where it's coming from. So your ears work better like that. The different sounds that you mentioned depends where they are. So if they're in open traffic, not many places around, they want people to hear from far away. It's the slower pitch. It's the sort of more klaxon sound, or the Nee Naw sound. The yelp, which is what you did, that woo 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 sound. That's when they get up to traffic, which I think adds
Get
to
out the way!
Yeah, it is.
And those people who are just, they haven't looked in their mirror for about half an hour.
Yeah.
Or half a year, probably.
And they're right behind you. Why are you not moving out of the way?
Yeah. That's what my policeman friend said, is that someone won't get out of the way, you put your woos. There's also an actual one called the hyper yelp, which is also called a phaser, which is even like a real sort of high pitch.
And I suppose the idea is to cut through the car radio, because if you're listening to loud music in your car, you're not necessarily going to hear anything.
It's loud music of sirens.
And particularly you haven't looked in your mirror to see the blue lights.
Yeah,
and,
so that's it as well. The other reason why they had different sounds, my fireman's friend said this, is that the first engine will go and they'll play their siren. The engine behind will play a different version.
Whoa.
So people know that there's two, and the police do the same, and ambulances will do the same.
Oh my gosh, that's really coordinated.
It's an orchestra.
Well,
isn't
it's orchestra.
Well, it has to be
emergency
because
vehicles.
Yeah, they both said you wouldn't be surprised that people will just think there's one vehicle coming, so one will go past and then carry on driving. But if there's two different sounds, or if they're coming in various directions, then you can pick up which direction.
Do you know, I love the fact that Deech has a friend from each of the emergency services.
Yeah, exactly,
He's collected them over the years. Now, I just need an ambulance driver, and then I've got the whole set.
My neighbour's an ambulance driver, so I can
introduce. Good. Before we finish, we have to vote on our favourite subject of the episode.
It's no surprise. It's Deech's information about different sounding sirens to alert the public to the fact there are oncoming vehicles or multiple oncoming.
It's a useful fact, isn't it?
Yeah, emergency vehicles. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. Deech, have you got what are you voting for?
Well, I enjoyed the most, actually, Faye. It was you saying that when you trail anything on a radio, you're not allowed to use a police siren sound. I do like that one.
Thank you. Thanks,
that was
Steve.
pretty.
So I'm gonna
it's funny you reminded me of that one, because I was leaning towards some of your ones, Deech, but actually I'm going to go with you with Faye's.
Oh my gosh!
So Faye, you won.
Dave still hasn't got
Well done.
victory.
I don't expect to. I'm only the producer. But fantastic. Well done, Faye.
Thank
so that's
you.
it. We're at the end of another episode. Thank you very much, Demitris Deech, for your excellent contributions. Thank you very much, Faye, for yours. And we'll see you all for the next episode. Don't forget to listen and subscribe and share and keep the Dollman's podcast going. And those little footsteps you can hear in the background, by the way, are because Flea the dog is telling us it's time to stop recording. Coming up in the next episode of the Dollman's podcast, I'm going to be talking about bees and beekeeping. Deech is going to be talking about that famous TV sitcom Friends, and Faye is going to be talking about something called sleep divorce. Find out what on earth that is in episode 30 of the Dollman's podcast, coming soon.